He was smiling at me across the white linen tablecloth, raising a glass of expensive Cabernet to toast our 12 years of marriage, unaware that the slideshow loaded on the projector behind him was about to turn his entire life into a smoking crater. Cameron looked so confident, so smug in his tailored suit, thinking he was the smartest man in the room. He didn't know that I knew about the hotel rooms. He didn't know I knew about Dana. And he certainly didn't know that the doors to the private dining room had just been locked from the outside. If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from or what time it is for you. You know that specific sickening sound reality makes when it fractures? It is not a loud crack like a breaking bone or a car crash. It is silent. It is the sound of a universe shifting 3 inches to the left, leaving you stranded in a version of your life that you no longer recognize. Mine happened on a Tuesday afternoon in Glendale, somewhere between a forgotten external hard drive and the realization that my husband was not in San Francisco. I am Casey, 37 years old, senior project manager, enthusiast of color-coded spreadsheets, alphabetical spice racks, and the comforting illusion that if you just plan hard enough, disaster cannot touch you. I live in one of those manicured California suburbs where the lawns are greener than envy, and everyone drives a German car they are leasing to impress neighbors they secretly despise. It started as a normal Tuesday. In fact, it was too normal. The sky was that aggressive, blinding blue that you only get in the valley during October. I was merging onto the 134 freeway, heading toward Pasadena for a 2 o'clock client meeting with our biggest account. This was the kind of meeting that determined my bonus, my standing in the firm, and essentially my self-worth for the next fiscal quarter. I was mentally rehearsing my opening slide about quarterly synergy when my stomach dropped through the floor of my Audi. The drive, the physical solid-state backup drive containing the raw video files for the presentation. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. I had left it on the kitchen island. I could see it in my mind's eye, a small black rectangle sitting innocently next to the fruit bowl, mocking me. I am not the kind of person who forgets things. I am the person who reminds other people not to forget things. I have 3 alarms on my phone for taking vitamins. I have a calendar that dictates my bathroom breaks. Leaving that drive behind felt like a fundamental betrayal of my own character. I checked the dashboard clock. It was 1:40 in the afternoon. I did the mental math instantly. If I exited now, doubled back to Oakmont Drive, grabbed the disc, and drove like a maniac, I would be exactly 4 minutes late. I could blame traffic. Everyone in Los Angeles accepts traffic as a valid excuse for literally anything, including murder. I wrenched the steering wheel to the right, cutting across 3 lanes of traffic to make the exit. The guy in the Prius behind me leaned on his horn, but I didn't care. I was on a mission. I was going to fix this error. I was going to salvage the schedule. If I had just kept driving to Pasadena, if I had just accepted the mistake and done the presentation without the backup files, I would still be living in the ignorance of my happy marriage. I would still be the wife who thought her husband was a saint. But I turned around. My street, Oakmont Drive, is one of those places that feels like a movie set. The trees are perfectly spaced. The trash cans are hidden behind tasteful enclosures. It is quiet, disturbingly quiet. It is the kind of silence that costs $2 million and comes with a homeowners association rule book thicker than the Bible. I turned the corner, my engine humming, my mind already calculating the sprint I would have to make from the garage to the kitchen. Then I slammed on the brakes. There, sitting in my driveway, bold as brass and twice as shiny, was a black Tesla Model S, Cameron's Tesla. My brain refused to process the visual data. It was like looking at a square circle. It simply did not compute. Cameron was in San Francisco. He had left yesterday morning. I had packed his bag. I had folded his blue dress shirts and tucked his travel toiletries into the side pocket. He had kissed me on the forehead, told me he had back-to-back meetings with the venture capital partners, and promised to bring me back those specific sourdough loaves I like from the wharf. So why was his car parked in Glendale at 1:45 on a Tuesday? I slowed the car to a crawl, letting it idle forward. My first thought, because I am a project manager and I look for logical explanations, was a disaster. He is sick. That had to be it. He must have gotten to the airport, felt terrible, canceled the trip, and come home to sleep it off. He probably didn't want to worry me while I was prepping for my big meeting. That was Cameron. Always so considerate, always protecting me from stress. Toxic benevolence, my therapist calls it now. But back then, I just called it being a good husband. I pulled over against the curb 2 houses down, in front of the Miller residence. I didn't want to pull into the driveway and wake him up if he was sleeping. Also, a tiny lizard brain instinct in the back of my skull whispered that I should be quiet. I turned off the engine. The silence of the street rushed in, heavy and thick. I sat there for a moment staring at his car. The license plate was definitely his. There was the small bumper sticker from his alma mater in the corner. It was undeniably him. Why hadn't he called? If he was sick, surely he would have sent a text. "Hey babe, flu hit hard, came home, dying in bed." Nothing. I checked my phone. The last message from him was from 3 hours ago. "Crushing these meetings. Miss you. Hope the pitch goes well." He was texting me about meetings in San Francisco while his car was parked in Glendale. The lizard brain stopped whispering and started screaming. I got out of my car. I didn't slam the door. I pushed it shut until it clicked softly. I felt ridiculous, creeping toward my own house in my own neighborhood, wearing a terrifyingly expensive beige blazer and heels. I looked like a corporate spy who had lost her way. The hedges between our house and the neighbors are tall. Privacy is the ultimate currency in Glendale, so I stayed low, using the foliage as cover. I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself I was going to walk in there, find him clutching a bottle of NyQuil, and feel like an absolute idiot for doubting him. I reached the edge of our property. I had a clear view of the driveway now. The passenger door of the Tesla opened. My breath hitched in my throat. It wasn't Cameron. A leg appeared. A woman's leg, wearing a skirt that was definitely too short for a business meeting and heels that cost more than my first car. She stepped out. She was blonde, petite, and looked like she had just been tumbled in a dryer. Her blouse was wrinkled, untucked on one side. She was smoothing her hair down with frantic, jerky movements, checking her reflection in the side mirror. I knew that face. My brain scrolled through its database of faces, frantically searching for a match. Neighbor? No. Cousin? No. Then it clicked, and the nausea hit me so hard I almost fell into the rose bushes. Dana. Dana Monroe. She was the executive assistant at Cameron's firm, the new girl he had mentioned casually over dinner a year ago. The one he had complained about being too green and needing a lot of mentorship. The one who, according to Cameron, had transferred to the San Diego branch 6 months ago because she wanted to be closer to her sick mother. San Diego is 130 miles away. My driveway is 0 miles away. She didn't look like a woman visiting a sick boss. She looked like a woman who had just done something very strenuous and was trying to make herself presentable before the Uber arrived. Then the driver's side door opened. Cameron stepped out. He didn't look sick. He looked flushed. He looked energized. He was buttoning his shirt, his work shirt, with one hand while holding his phone in the other. He said something to her, laughing. It was a relaxed, intimate laugh, the kind of laugh you share with someone when you have a secret language. He walked around the car to her. I watched, frozen, as my husband of 12 years reached out and tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear. It was such a gentle gesture, so tender. It was the way he used to touch me, years ago, before we became partners and roommates who shared a mortgage. Dana giggled and swatted his arm playfully. I felt like I was watching a movie of someone else's life. This couldn't be Cameron. Cameron was the VP of operations. Cameron was the man who color coordinated his socks. Cameron was the man who sent me calendar invites for date nights. He didn't have affairs in our driveway in the middle of a Tuesday, but there he was. He leaned in and kissed her. It wasn't a goodbye peck. It was deep. It was hungry. It was the kind of kiss that says, "I'm not done with you yet." I shrank back behind the hedge, my hands trembling so violently I dropped my car keys into the grass. I had to bite my lip to keep from making a sound as I bent down to retrieve them. The betrayal didn't feel hot, like fire. It felt cold. It felt like liquid nitrogen being poured into my chest cavity, freezing my lungs, making it impossible to take a breath. He wasn't in San Francisco. He wasn't working. He was here. He had been here the whole time. And the worst part? He looked happy, happier than I had seen him in years. I had a choice in that moment. Option A, storm up the driveway, scream, throw my keys at his head, demand an explanation, weep, 'cause a scene that would have the neighbors peering through their blinds for weeks. Option B, survival. My project manager brain rebooted. The emotional sector was currently offline due to catastrophic failure, so the logical sector took command. Goal, retrieve the hard drive. Obstacle, the adulterous husband in the driveway. Strategy, stealth. I watched them. They were still standing by the car, engrossed in each other. They were in their own little bubble of illicit dopamine. They weren't looking at the house. I needed that drive. If I missed this meeting, I lost the client. If I lost the client, I lost my bonus. And looking at the disaster unfolding in front of me, I had a sudden, sharp realization that I was going to need every single penny of my own money very soon. I backtracked to the side gate. It squeaks if you open it quickly, so I moved it millimeter by millimeter, agonizing over every rasp of metal on metal. I slipped into the backyard. I felt like a burglar in my own sanctuary. This was the yard where we hosted 4th of July barbecues. This was the patio where we drank wine and talked about our retirement plans. Now I was creeping across the lawn in stilettos, trying to avoid being seen by the man who vowed to cherish me until death did us part. The back door was locked. Of course it was. Cameron was obsessed with security. I keyed in the code. 4822, the date of our wedding, April 2012. The irony tasted like copper in my mouth. The lock beeped. I paused, heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird, waiting to see if they heard it out front. Silence. I slipped inside. The kitchen was cool and smelled faintly of the lemon cleaner we used. And there it was, the hard drive, sitting exactly where I left it on the island. I grabbed it. My hand was shaking so bad I almost knocked over the fruit bowl. I could hear their voices now through the front window. They were moving toward the front door. "Did you leave the spare key under the mat?" Dana asked. Her voice was high, breathy, annoying. "Yeah, hold on," Cameron answered. Panic flared. They were coming back inside. I didn't have time to go back out the way I came. I scrambled toward the laundry room, which led to the garage side door. I ducked into the small mudroom just as the front door handle jiggled. I heard the front door open. I heard their footsteps on the hardwood entry. "I think I left my sunglasses on the counter," Dana said. I pressed myself against the washing machine, clutching the hard drive to my chest. I stopped breathing. I squeezed my eyes shut and prayed to a God I hadn't spoken to in years. Please don't let them see me. Please don't let me have to confront them right now. I'm not ready. "I'll get them," Cameron said. I heard his footsteps approach the kitchen. He was 10 feet away from me. If he turned his head left, he would see the open laundry room door. He would see his wife cowering next to the dryer. Sounds of shuffling. "Got him," he called out. "Thanks, babe," she yelled back. Babe. She called him babe. That was my word. You don't get to use my word. I heard them walk back out. The front door closed. The lock clicked. I waited 5 full minutes. I counted to 300, forcing my heart rate to drop from imminent heart attack to merely panic attack. Then I slipped out the side door, ran across the neighbor's lawn, sorry, Mrs. Gable, and sprinted back to my car. I threw the hard drive onto the passenger seat. I keyed the ignition. I drove away. As I turned the corner, I looked in the rearview mirror. The driveway was empty. The Tesla was gone. I didn't cry. I think I was in shock. I just gripped the wheel and merged back onto the freeway. There is a specific kind of torture involved in sitting through a corporate meeting while your life is actively imploding. It requires a level of dissociation that should probably be classified as a mental illness. I made it to the client's office in Pasadena with 2 minutes to spare. I walked into the conference room, shook hands with the CEO, plugged in my hard drive, and launched the PowerPoint. "Good afternoon, everyone," I said. My voice sounded normal. How did it sound normal? I wanted to scream. I wanted to flip the heavy oak table over. I wanted to vomit on the plush gray carpet. Today, we're going to talk about optimizing your workflow for maximum efficiency. I smiled. It was a muscle reflex, a mask made of foundation and practiced pleasantries. The client, a man named Robert who loved buzzwords more than his own children, nodded enthusiastically. "Love that, Casey. We're really looking for synergistic opportunities here." "Absolutely," I agreed. "Synergy is key." While my mouth talked about deliverables and KPIs, my brain was running a separate, horrifying operating system. He's been lying about the trips. San Francisco, Chicago last month, Austin in August. Were any of them real? He packed a bag. He literally packed a bag. Where did he sleep? Did they stay at the house? Oh God, were they in my bed? "Casey?" Robert asked. I snapped back to reality. "Yes, sorry. Just thinking about the scalability of that particular metric." "Right," Robert said. "So looking at the Q4 projections." I looked at the screen. Bar graphs, pie charts. Predictable data. My marriage was a graph that had just fallen off a cliff. I looked at my phone sitting on the table. It was silent. No texts from Cameron confessing, no, "I'm sorry." Just the black mirror reflecting the fluorescent lights. I felt a surge of rage so potent it almost made me dizzy. How dare he? How dare he let me sit here and talk about marketing strategies while he was playing house with his assistant? How dare he make me feel safe while he was dismantling our foundation brick by brick? "I think we're ready to sign," Robert said, closing the folder. "Let's move forward." "Wonderful," I said. "I'll have legal draw up the paperwork." I packed up my laptop. I shook hands again. I walked to the elevator. As soon as the elevator doors closed, I slumped against the metal wall. The mask cracked. A single ragged sob escaped my throat, but I swallowed the rest. I couldn't fall apart yet. I was a project manager. You don't cry when the project goes off the rails. You assess the damage. You gather data. You formulate a mitigation plan. I wasn't Casey the wife anymore. That woman died in the driveway on Oakmont Drive. I was Casey the project manager, and I had a new project. I didn't go home. I couldn't go home. The house felt contaminated. The idea of walking into that kitchen where hours ago he had been laughing with her made my skin crawl. Instead, I drove to the Coffee Bean on Brand Boulevard. I ordered a large iced Americano, black. I needed the caffeine to sharpen the edges of my rage. I found a booth in the back corner facing the door. This is a habit I picked up from watching too many crime dramas, but today it felt necessary. I needed to see everyone. I needed to make sure I wasn't being ambushed. I opened my laptop. I stared at the blank desktop background. My phone buzzed on the table. My heart stopped. It was a text from Cameron. I stared at the notification for a long time before I swiped to open it. "Hey, beautiful. Meetings are running super late. Probably going to have to do a dinner with the investors tonight. Might not be able to call until late. Don't wait up. Love you." I read it once. I read it twice. Meetings are running super late. He wasn't in a meeting. He was probably in bed with her, or at a hotel. Or maybe they were having an early dinner at some trendy spot in Silver Lake where he thought nobody would see them. Love you. That was the part that broke me. The casual cruelty of it. He didn't love me. You don't do this to people you love. You don't gaslight them via text message while your mistress's perfume is probably still on your collar. I wanted to throw the phone across the coffee shop. I wanted to text back, "I saw you. I saw you in the driveway with Dana." But I didn't. Because if I confronted him now, what would happen? He would deny it. He would say I was crazy. He would say it was innocent. Or he would admit it, beg for forgiveness, and I would be the hysterical wife with no leverage. No. If I blew up now, I lost the element of surprise. He would have time to hide assets. He would have time to delete messages. He would have time to spin the narrative to our friends and family. I needed to be smarter than him. I needed to be colder than him. I took a sip of my bitter coffee. It tasted like battery acid, but it grounded me. I placed my fingers on the keyboard. I created a new folder on my desktop. I didn't name it Divorce. That was too emotional, too final. I named it Project Cameron. Then I opened a blank spreadsheet. Row 1, Timeline of Lies. Row 2, Financial Irregularities. Row 3, Proof of Infidelity. I typed a reply to his text. My fingers hovered over the letters. It took every ounce of willpower I possessed to type the words. "No worries, babe. Good luck with the investors. Get some rest. Love you too." I hit send. I felt like I had just sold my soul, but as I watched the little delivered checkmark appear, I realized something. He thought he was playing me. He thought I was the clueless, supportive wife waiting at home. He had no idea that he had just handed me the shovel I was going to use to bury him. I sat at my kitchen island, the granite cold against my forearms, staring at the login screen on my laptop like it was a bomb I had to defuse without a manual. The house was silent, horribly, oppressively silent. Usually this silence was my sanctuary, a time to decompress after work, but now it felt like the quiet before a predator strikes. I typed in Cameron's email address. My fingers hovered over the password field. For 12 years, we had an unspoken policy of digital transparency, or at least I thought we did. His password had always been the same. Steelers, followed by the year he graduated college. Simple. Predictable. A little pathetic, honestly, but reliable. I typed it in. Steelers 99. Enter. The screen buffered for a second, a spinning wheel of hope, and then rejected me. Incorrect password. I stared at the red text. My heart did a painful stutter step. "Okay," I whispered to the empty room. "Okay, don't panic. Maybe he updated it." I tried the year we got married. Steelers 2012. Incorrect password. I tried his mother's birthday. I tried the name of our first dog. I tried the street we grew up on. Incorrect password. Account locked for 30 minutes after too many attempts. I slammed the laptop shut, the sound echoing like a gunshot in the kitchen. He had changed it. Of course he had changed it. You don't start an affair with your assistant and leave your digital front door unlocked. The realization made me feel nauseous. When had he done it? A month ago? 6 months ago? Had I been living with a man who was actively locking me out of his life while I was busy planning our summer vacation? I needed access. I couldn't build a case on a visual sighting alone. I needed data. I needed receipts. But I couldn't trigger a password reset because it would send a notification to his phone. If his phone buzzed in San Francisco, or wherever the hell he actually was, and said password reset requested, he would know. He would know I was digging. And if he knew I was digging, he would burn the evidence before I could even find a shovel. I stood up and paced the kitchen. Think, Casey. Think. The hard way. There are no hackers in my contact list. I don't have a friend at the NSA. I have my brain in this house. Devices. He took his phone. He took his laptop. He took his Apple Watch. But we were a tech-heavy household. We had gadgets everywhere. I ran to the living room. The smart TV? No, you can't check banking apps on a television. The old desktop in the guest room? We hadn't turned that on in 3 years. It would be hopelessly outdated. Then I remembered. the guest bathroom. Cameron had a habit, a disgusting habit really, of reading digital comic books in the downstairs guest bathroom. He used an old iPad, one with a cracked screen that we had retired 2 years ago but never actually threw away. He kept it in the vanity drawer under the towels. I sprinted to the bathroom. My heels skidded on the tile. I ripped open the bottom drawer, shoving aside piles of beige hand towels that I had folded so perfectly just last week. There it was, the white iPad, dust gathering on the cover. I pressed the home button. The battery icon flashed red. Dead. No, 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 I hissed. I scrambled for a charger. I found a frayed lightning cable in the junk drawer in the kitchen. I plugged it in. The charging symbol appeared. I sat on the cold tile floor of the guest bathroom, watching that battery icon, willing it to fill. It felt like it took hours. It was probably 5 minutes. I chewed on my thumbnail until I tasted blood. Finally, the screen lit up. 4% battery. Enough. I slid to unlock. It asked for a passcode. Please, God, let him be lazy. Please let him be the creature of habit I thought he was. I typed in the old code. 0422. Our anniversary. The screen unlocked. I let out a breath that was half sob, half laugh. I was in. I immediately tapped the email icon. It hadn't synced in weeks, but it was still logged in. I pulled down to refresh. The little wheel spun. Last updated. Just now. I had his email, and through his email I could see the confirmation receipts. I didn't need his bank password if Amazon and Expedia were sending him "thank you for your purchase" emails. I sat there on the bathroom floor, surrounded by towels, holding the cracked iPad like it was the Holy Grail, and I started to scroll. The sheer volume of it was staggering. I had opened the spreadsheet on my own laptop, cross-referencing it with the emails on the iPad. I was building a timeline of betrayal, one line item at a time. I started with the travel. San Francisco, he had said last month. Subject, your reservation at the Beverly Hilton. Chicago, he had claimed in August. Subject, your stay at the Beverly Hilton. Austin, he had promised in July. Subject, your upcoming stay at the Beverly Hilton. He wasn't traveling for work. He wasn't even leaving the county. He was driving 20 miles west to Beverly Hills, checking into a hotel, and playing house. I clicked on the receipt for the most recent stay. Total, $247.50. It wasn't a fortune. It wasn't the presidential suite. It was a standard king room, just expensive enough to be nice, cheap enough to fly under the radar if you weren't looking closely at the miscellaneous category in our budget. But it was the frequency that killed me. Every other Tuesday, like clockwork, I scrolled back through a full year of emails, 26 times. He had checked into that hotel 26 times in the last 12 months. I did the math in my head, then verified it on my calculator because I didn't trust my brain anymore. $6,435. $6,000 of our money that we were saving for a kitchen renovation, money that we were setting aside for the maybe a baby fund that we had stopped talking about. I remembered a conversation we had 3 months ago. We were standing in the kitchen. I wanted to buy that new espresso machine, the one that cost $800. Cameron had hugged me, kissed the top of my head, and said in that sweet, condescending voice, "Babe, do we really need that? We're trying to be disciplined with our savings, remember? Let's stick to the budget. I'm doing it for our future." Toxic benevolence. He made me feel guilty for wanting coffee while he was spending nearly $300 a night to sleep with his assistant. He had weaponized financial responsibility to cover his tracks. I felt a hot flush of humiliation. I had been bringing a bagged lunch to work to save money. I had canceled my subscription to the wine club. I was cutting coupons, and he was ordering room service champagne. I found other things, too. A receipt from a florist in Westwood, 12 long-stemmed roses, delivery address, the Beverly Hilton, card note, "Can't wait to see you." I hadn't received flowers in 3 years, a confirmation for a dinner reservation at Spago. 2 people, a Tuesday night in May. I checked my calendar for that date. Cameron, late meeting. I had eaten leftover lasagna standing over the sink that night. My hands were trembling so hard I could barely type the data into the spreadsheet. Each entry felt like a physical blow, a punch to the gut, a slap to the face. Date, October 12th. Amount, $247, lie, conference in Seattle. Date, September 28th. Amount, $80, purchase, Sephora gift card. I didn't shop at Sephora. Dana did. I remembered seeing a Sephora bag in the back seat of his car once. He said he had given a ride to a female colleague. "You're such a good guy," I had told him, "always helping people out." I wanted to vomit. I was so stupid. I was so breathtakingly, catastrophically stupid. I saved the spreadsheet. Project, Cameron, Financials, V1. I sat back against the cabinets, the cold wood pressing into my spine. The sun was setting outside, casting long, bruised shadows across the kitchen floor. I was alone in my house, alone in my marriage, and poorer by $6,000. My phone rang, shattering the silence. I jumped, nearly dropping the iPad. I stared at the screen, expecting Cameron, expecting him to sense that I knew. But it wasn't him. It was Tara. Tara lived 3 houses down. We were wine friends. We met at the HOA meeting 2 years ago when we bonded over our mutual hatred of the neighborhood president's obsession with lawn ornament regulations. We weren't soulmates, but we were close enough to complain about our husband's inability to load a dishwasher. I debated ignoring it. I didn't think I could form human words right now, but if I didn't answer, she might come over. She was aggressive like that. I swiped answer. "Hello?" "Emergency." Tara's voice blared through the speaker. She sounded tight, high-pitched. "I need you to come over, now. I have opened a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc that cost way too much money to drink alone, and I am 5 minutes away from setting my husband's golf clubs on fire." I blinked. "What?" "Gavin," she snapped. Gavin, just come over, please." I need a sane person to tell me I'm not crazy. A sane person. I looked at my reflection in the dark oven door. I looked deranged. My mascara was smudged. My hair was wild. I was clutching an iPad full of evidence that my life was a lie. I started to say I couldn't, but then I thought about the empty house, the silence, the ghost of Cameron's "I love you" text hovering in the air. "I'm coming," I said. "I'll be there in 5. I needed to get out. I needed alcohol. And maybe, just maybe, I needed to say it out loud to make sure it was real. I walked down the street. The air was cooling down. The sprinklers were hissing on the perfectly manicured lawns. It was all so normal. It was offensive how normal it was. Tara opened the door before I could knock. She was wearing yoga pants and a stained t-shirt, holding a wine glass that was filled to the brim. "Thank God," she said, pulling me inside. "You look terrible." "Thanks," I said, stepping into her foyer. "You look manic." "I am manic," she said. She led me to the kitchen island, white marble, subway tile, the suburban dream. She poured me a glass without asking. "Here, drink." I took a sip. It was cold and sharp. "So," Tara said, leaning her elbows on the counter, "Gavin, he tells me this morning that he has to go to a team-building retreat in Palm Springs this weekend. For work, on a weekend, when we have tickets to the Hollywood Bowl." She rolled her eyes. "I swear, if he uses the word synergy one more time, I'm going to poison his protein shake." I stared at her. Palm Springs. Team building. "He's lying," I said. The words just fell out of my mouth. I didn't mean to say them. They just bypassed my brain and landed on the counter between us. Tara paused, her glass halfway to her mouth. She frowned. "What?" "No, he's just inconsiderate. He's a workaholic." "No," I said, my voice shaking. "He's lying. Because they all lie." Tara put the glass down. She looked at me closely. really looked at me. She saw the tremor in my hands. She saw the way I was standing, like I was bracing for an impact. "Casey," she said softly, "what happened?" I felt the dam break. The project manager mask crumbled. "I came home early," I whispered. "I forgot my drive. I came home and Cameron's car was in the driveway. He was supposed to be in San Francisco." Tara's eyes went wide. "He wasn't alone," I said. Tears started to stream down my face, hot and humiliating. "He was with Dana, his assistant, the one who moved away. They were kissing. In the driveway, in broad daylight." I choked on a sob. "He's been lying for a year, Tara. I found the hotel receipts. Every other Tuesday, the Beverly Hilton." Tara didn't gasp. She didn't scream. She didn't say, "Oh my God, poor you." She went completely still. Her face went pale, draining of color until she looked like a marble statue. She stared at me for a long, terrifying moment. "Wait," she said. Her voice was a whisper. "Did you say Tuesday?" "Yes." I wiped my eyes. "Why?" And, "Does Cameron play golf with Gavin?" "Sometimes," I said, confused. "Why?" Tara turned slowly and looked at the calendar hanging on her fridge. It was a family organizer covered in scribbles. "Gavin doesn't work late on Tuesdays," she said, her voice sounding hollow. "He works late on Wednesdays, every single Wednesday, for client dinners." She turned back to me. Her eyes were dark, dangerous. "And his assistant," Tara said. "Penny, she quit 6 months ago, allegedly." The air in the kitchen changed. The humidity of my grief evaporated, replaced by the dry, static charge of suspicion. "Penny?" I asked. "The redhead?" "Yes," Tara said. She grabbed her phone from the counter. Her fingers were flying across the screen. She was 24, so eager to learn. Gavin used to talk about her all the time. Then suddenly, poof, gone. He said she moved to Oregon to be a yoga instructor. "Dana moved to San Diego to be with her sick mother," I said. "It's a script," Tara murmured. She wasn't looking at me anymore. She was scrolling through something on her phone. "It's a playbook. They move the pieces off the board so we stop asking questions." "What are you doing?" I asked. "I'm checking something," she said. "Gavin shares his location with me. For safety, he says. But he thinks I'm too technically illiterate to check the history." She tapped the screen. She zoomed in. "Last Wednesday," she said, 7 p.m., he said he was at Mastro's in Beverly Hills with a client. She turned the phone toward me. The blue dot wasn't at a steakhouse in Beverly Hills. It was in Atwater Village, at a residential address. "That's an apartment complex," I said. "I know," Tara said. "I drove past it once. I thought I was being paranoid. I don't know, maybe he was buying pot or something stupid." She swiped back a week. "Wednesday prior, 7 p.m., same address." She swiped back again. "Wednesday prior, same address." She looked up at me. Her eyes were filling with tears now, but they were angry tears. "He's not at a client dinner. He's at an apartment in Atwater Village." "With Penny," I finished. "With Penny," she confirmed. We stood there in her pristine kitchen, 2 women with successful husbands and perfect lives, realizing that we were both standing in the wreckage of a massive, coordinated deception. "They talk," Tara said. "Cameron and Gavin. They play racquetball on Saturdays. Do you think they talk about this? Do you think they compare notes?" "They probably give each other tips," I said bitterly. "Move the assistant. Use a fake city. Buy a gift card to cover the smell of perfume." Tara slammed her hand on the counter. The wine bottle jumped. "That bastard? That absolute smug bastard." She grabbed the bottle and refilled our glasses to the brim. "Okay," she said. "Okay, this isn't just you, and this isn't just me. This is a thing." "What do we do?" I asked. "Do we confront them?" "No," Tara said instantly. "No confrontation. Not yet. If you confront him, he lies. He gaslights. He deletes the evidence. We need to be smarter." She looked at me. Who else plays racquetball with them? I thought about it. The Saturday morning crew. Bradley, I said. Bradley Sterling. Olivia's husband, Tara said. Olivia Sterling was the scariest woman in our neighborhood. She was a corporate litigator who wore suits that cost more than my car. She was intense, brilliant, and honestly, a little intimidating. We invited her to book club, but she mostly just drank the wine and critiqued the character motivations from a legal standpoint. Do you think Bradley is... I trailed off. Tara pulled out her phone again. Bradley is an investment banker. He travels constantly. Olivia mentioned last month that he's been in deal mode for 6 months. We should call her, I said. It felt crazy. We were escalating this. We have to, Tara said. If this is a pattern, we need a professional. She dialed Olivia's number. She put it on speaker. It rang twice. This is Olivia. Her voice was crisp, professional. Olivia, it's Tara. I'm with Casey. We're drinking wine and we just discovered that our husbands are lying, cheating sociopaths who are running the same playbook. There was a pause on the line. A long, heavy silence. Then Olivia spoke. Her voice had zero surprise in it. I'll be there in 10 minutes. I'm bringing the file. Olivia arrived in exactly 9 minutes. She walked in through the front door without knocking, looking like she had just stepped out of a courtroom. She was wearing a silk blouse and holding a thick leather portfolio. She didn't look sad. She looked lethal. She walked into the kitchen, looked at our tear-stained faces, and set the portfolio on the island with a heavy thud. Wine, she said. Red. No ice. Tara poured her a glass. Olivia took a sip, her eyes scanning us like she was cross-examining a witness. So, she said, you found out. About time. You knew? I asked, stunned. I suspected, Olivia corrected. Suspicion is an emotion. Knowing is a fact. I deal in facts. She tapped the leather portfolio. Bradley has been closing a merger in New York for 3 months, except his Amex charges show a lot of Uber rides in Santa Monica. Santa Monica? Tara asked. Specifically to a boutique hotel on Ocean Avenue, Olivia said. And the merger he's working on is named Simone. She's 26, a junior analyst at his firm. Did she get transferred? I asked. Oh, absolutely, Olivia said with a dark smile. Transferred to the special projects team, which apparently operates exclusively out of hotel rooms. How do you know all this? Tara asked. Olivia opened the portfolio. It wasn't just spreadsheets. It was photos. High-resolution telephoto lens photos. I hired a private investigator 3 weeks ago, Olivia said calmly. His name is Rick. He's very expensive and very good. He got pictures of Bradley and Simone having brunch at Shutters when Bradley was supposed to be in a boardroom in Manhattan. I looked at the photos. Bradley, laughing. Simone, feeding him a strawberry. It was sickening. It was also undeniably proof. I was building my case, Olivia said. California is a no-fault state, but infidelity can affect asset division if marital funds were used to facilitate the affair. I intend to prove that Bradley has spent a fortune on this merger. She looked at us. So what do you two have? Hearsay? Intuition? I have eyes, I said, feeling a surge of defensiveness. I saw Cameron in the driveway with his assistant, and I have his hotel receipts, the Beverly Hilton, every other Tuesday. And Grant, Tara added. Grant is visiting an apartment in Atwater Village every Wednesday. His former assistant, Penny. Olivia nodded slowly. She looked impressed. So, she said, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Bradley is usually busy on Thursdays. It's a rotation. They're coordinating, I said. They cover for each other. Oh, Cameron is with me. We're working late. Grant is at the gym with me. It's a conspiracy, Tara said. A literal conspiracy of husbands. It's a RICO case, Olivia joked, but she wasn't really smiling. Racketeer-influenced and corrupt organizations. They're running an organized crime ring against our marriages. We stood there, 3 women in a kitchen, united by the most depressing Venn diagram in history. Wait, Tara said. Who's the 4th one? 4th one? I asked. Racquetball, Tara said. There are 4 of them. Cameron, Gavin, Bradley, and Wesley. Wesley, Rebecca's husband. Rebecca was the youngest of us. She was sweet, anxious, and dangerously optimistic. She worked in finance but had the soul of a kindergarten teacher. She and Wesley had been married for 5 years. They were the cute couple, the ones who still held hands. Oh no, I said, not Wesley. He's a golden retriever in human form. So is my husband, Tara said darkly, until he isn't. We have to check, Olivia said. If they're running a playbook, they're all in on it. You don't have 3 guys in a 4-man group running a scam without the 4th guy knowing. Rebecca will crumble, I said. She thinks the sun shines out of Wesley's ass. Better she crumbles now than in 5 years when he leaves her for a 20-year-old, Olivia said. Call her. Rebecca came over wearing a pastel sweater set and holding a Tupperware container of homemade cookies. Hey guys, she chirped, walking into the kitchen. Tara said it was an emergency? Is everything okay? I brought snickerdoodles because sugar helps everything. She stopped when she saw our faces. The heavy silence, the 3 half-empty wine glasses, the leather portfolio, the iPad. Oh, she said, her smile faltering. This isn't a cookie emergency, is it? Sit down, sweetie, Tara said, pulling out a bar stool. Rebecca sat. She looked small. Is someone sick? Is it a divorce? Yes, Olivia said bluntly. Probably 4 of them. We explained it to her, gently at first, then with increasing detail as she tried to deny it. No, Rebecca said, shaking her head vigorously. No, not Wesley. I know you guys are having trouble, and that's terrible, really, but Wesley isn't like that. He's obsessed with me. He texts me every hour. Does he work late? Olivia asked. Well, he's in tech, Rebecca said. Startup life. They burn the midnight oil. He has coding sprints on Fridays. Fridays, I said. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday. Who is his assistant? Tara asked. He doesn't have an assistant, Rebecca said triumphantly. He has a project coordinator. Her name is Marn. But she's practically one of the guys. She wears hoodies and plays video games with them. Did she leave recently? Olivia pressed. Well, no, Rebecca said. Then she paused. Actually, she transferred to the remote team a few months ago. She works from home now. Wesley says it's more efficient. The 3 of us exchanged a look. The hard way. We couldn't just tell her. She wouldn't believe us. She needed to see it. Rebecca, I said, do you know Marn's last name? Preston, Rebecca said. Why? Does she have Instagram? I asked. Yeah, but she's private, Rebecca said. I tried to follow her once, but she never accepted. Of course she didn't, Tara muttered. Wesley follows her, Rebecca said defensively. They're colleagues. Get Wesley's iPad, Olivia commanded, or anything logged into his account. I have his old phone, Rebecca said. He upgraded last week and hasn't traded the old one in yet. It's in my purse. I was supposed to drop it at the Apple store. She pulled out an iPhone. But I don't know his passcode. Try 0000, Tara suggested. Men are simple. Rebecca typed it in. It unlocked. We huddled around the small screen. Rebecca opened Instagram. She went to Wesley's following list. She found Marn Preston. Click. Her profile was a grid of selfies, food pictures, and locations. Look at the geotags, I said. 3 weeks ago. Silver Lake Reservoir. Caption, Friday night sprint. In the background of the selfie, blurry but distinct, was a man's arm. He was wearing a very specific watch, a chunky orange smartwatch. That's Wesley's watch, Rebecca whispered. I bought him that watch for his birthday. Scroll down, Olivia said. 6 weeks ago, Santa Barbara. Caption, weekend getaway. The reflection in her sunglasses showed a man driving a convertible, a man with Wesley's haircut. He said he was at a hackathon, Rebecca said. Her voice was trembling. He said he was coding all weekend in a basement in Palo Alto. He wasn't coding, Tara said gently. Rebecca dropped the phone on the counter. The screen cracked. She didn't seem to notice. He sends me heart emojis, she whispered. He sends me memes about how much he loves his wife. And he's in Santa Barbara with Marn? They're running a playbook, Becca, I said. All 4 of them. They coordinate their lies so they can cover for each other. Rebecca looked up. The naivety was gone from her eyes, replaced by a deep, shattering hurt. He bought her a hoodie, Rebecca said, her voice sounding strange. I saw a charge for a Supreme hoodie on the credit card. He told me it was a gift for his nephew. But Marn is wearing it in that photo. She pointed a shaking finger at the cracked screen. That's a $300 hoodie, she said, and he told me we couldn't afford to fix the air conditioning in the car. The denial vanished. The rage arrived. Now we were 4. The silence in Tara's kitchen wasn't empty. It was heavy, suffocating, filled with the ghosts of 4 marriages that had died in the last hour. We sat around the island like a council of war refugees, shell-shocked and bleeding out invisible wounds. I looked at the women around me. Tara, who I had always assumed was too tough to break, was staring into her wineglass with dead eyes. Rebecca, the eternal optimist, looked like a child who had just been told Santa Claus was actually a serial killer. And Olivia, our Iron Lady, was gripping her expensive pen so hard I thought the barrel might snap. They used us, I said. The realization didn't feel like anger anymore. It felt like sludge moving through my veins. They used our trust as infrastructure. They built a logistics network on top of our marriages. I thought about the Saturday barbecues, the way the 4 of them, Cameron, Gavin, Bradley, Wesley, would stand by the grill, beers in hand, laughing. We always thought they were talking about sports or the stock market. They weren't talking about football, Tara whispered, echoing my thought. They were coordinating schedules. Hey, I need the Tuesday slot for Dana. Can you cover for me? Sure, buddy, I'll tell Tara we're watching the game. The cruelty of it was breathtaking. It wasn't a crime of passion. It was an administrative feat. They had calendar invites. They probably had a shared Google Doc. We were the cover story, Olivia said, her voice dripping with ice. We gave them respectability. The wife, the house, the dog. It makes them look stable to their boards and their investors. Meanwhile, they're outsourcing the intimacy to 20-year-olds who don't ask them to take out the trash. I made him a kale smoothie every morning, Rebecca said, her voice breaking. He hates kale. But I made it because his cholesterol was high and I wanted him to live a long time. And while I was blending spinach, he was buying Supreme hoodies for a girl named Marn. I felt a sudden, violent need to destroy something. I wanted to smash the granite countertop. I wanted to burn the house down, but I was a project manager. I didn't destroy, I organized. We need to stop crying, I said. I didn't mean it to sound harsh, but it came out like a command. Crying is what they expect. Crying is what hysterical wives do. If we cry, we're victims. I refuse to be a victim. What are we then? Rebecca sniffled. We're the auditors, I said, and we are going to audit the hell out of their lives. I looked at each of them. We need irrefutable proof, not just intuition. Not just a dot on a map. We need things that will hold up in court. We need things that will make their lawyers weep. I have the PI report, Olivia said. That's good for Bradley, I said, but we need it for all of them. We need to link them. We need to prove the conspiracy. If we can prove they coordinated, we destroy their character. We take away the one-time mistake defense. I'm going to vomit, Tara announced, then poured herself another glass of wine instead. Go home, I told them. Go home and dig. Check the trash. Check the pockets of their dry cleaning. Check the trunk of the car. They think they're safe. Men who feel safe get sloppy. My house was dark when I got back. Cameron was still allegedly in San Francisco, which meant the house was mine for the night. But it didn't feel like mine. It felt like a crime scene where the body had been moved, but the bloodstains remained. I stood in the entryway, listening. The silence that used to be peaceful now felt malicious. I walked into Cameron's home office. This was his sanctuary. Mahogany desk, leather chair, framed degrees on the wall. It smelled like cedar and his expensive cologne. A smell I used to associate with safety. Now it smelled like deceit. I sat in his chair. It was still adjusted to his height, so my feet dangled slightly. I felt small. I hated feeling small. Start with the physical, I told myself. Digital trails can be deleted. Paper is stubborn. I looked at the wastebasket under the desk. It was a sleek mesh metal thing. I pulled it out. Empty. Of course. He was meticulous. But then I remembered the shredder. He had a heavy-duty cross-cut shredder in the corner. He was obsessive about shredding sensitive documents. I walked over to it. I pulled out the bin. It was half full of confetti. I stared at the pile of paper strips, thousands of tiny white rectangles. It was impossible. It was a jigsaw puzzle from hell. "Do it," the voice in my head whispered. "You want the truth? Work for it." I went to the kitchen and grabbed a handful of Ziploc bags. I carried the shredder bin to the dining room table, the table where we ate Thanksgiving dinner, and dumped the contents out. I turned on the overhead light. It was glaringly bright. I sat there for 3 hours. My eyes burned. My back ached. I felt like a raccoon scavenging for garbage, except instead of food, I was starving for pain. I was looking for dates. I was looking for numbers. I found a strip that said, Ton Hotel. I isolated it. I searched for its mates. 30 minutes later, I found another strip, Everly High, and another. To one. I taped them together on a piece of black construction paper I found in the craft drawer. It wasn't a complete receipt, but it was enough. The Beverly Hilton. Guest C. Whitman. Date October 12th. But then I found something else, something I wasn't looking for. A strip of yellow paper, carbon copy paper. I pieced it together. It was harder because the paper was thin and crinkled. Iffany & Co. Das ein Diamond Handfun 200. A diamond pendant. $1,200. I touched my throat. I wasn't wearing a diamond pendant. I had never received a diamond pendant. Our anniversary was in April. My birthday was in January. The date on the receipt fragment was August 14th. I stared at the date. August 14th. I checked my phone calendar. August 14th. Cameron, late budget review. He hadn't just cheated on me. He'd bought her jewelry worth more than my first car while I was heating up leftover soup. I felt a scream building in my chest, a primal, jagged thing that wanted to tear my throat open. But I swallowed it. I swallowed it down until it sat like a stone in my stomach. I carefully placed the taped-together receipts into a plastic sheet protector. Evidence item number 4. I was deep in the trance of investigation. The dining room table was covered in paper scraps, my laptop was open to the spreadsheet, and the contents of Cameron's desk drawers were spread out on the floor. I had found a second credit card hidden in the back of a hollowed-out book about the Civil War, a Discover card. Who even uses Discover? Cheaters, apparently. I was photographing the credit card number when I heard it, the rumble of the garage door opening. My heart stopped, literally stopped. The blood froze in my veins. It was 1 a.m. on a Thursday. He wasn't supposed to be back until late tomorrow. Panic, cold and sharp, flooded my system. I had maybe 30 seconds before he walked through that door. If he saw this, the shredder confetti, the taped receipts, the hidden credit card, the game was over. He would know. He would lock me out of the accounts. He would lawyer up. He would gaslight me into oblivion. I moved faster than I have ever moved in my life. I swept the paper scraps into the Ziploc bag. I shoved the bag into the bottom of the diaper bag we had bought for a baby shower gift and never sent. I threw the credit card back into the hollow book and shoved the book onto the shelf. It was upside down. I didn't care. I grabbed my laptop. The door from the garage to the kitchen opened. "Casey?" his voice called out. He sounded tired. Or fake tired. I was in the dining room. He couldn't see me yet. I dropped to the floor. I crawled under the dining room table. It was ridiculous. It was humiliating. I was a 37-year-old woman hiding from her husband under a table like a frightened dog. I heard his footsteps on the tile. Clack, clack, clack. "Babe?" he called again. "You up? I caught an early flight. Missed you too much." Liar. You probably got into a fight with Dana or she kicked you out. I needed a reason to be awake. I needed a cover story. I couldn't be hiding. That looked guilty. I took a deep breath, pinched my cheeks hard to put some color in them, and crawled out from the other side of the table, positioning myself so I was blocking his view of the shredder bin I hadn't had time to put back. I stood up just as he walked into the dining room archway. "Oh!" I gasped, pressing a hand to my chest. "You scared me." Cameron stopped. He was holding his garment bag. He looked rumpled. Not just got off a plane, rumpled. Just got out of bed, rumpled. "Hey," he smiled. That dazzling, charming smile that used to make my knees weak. Now it just looked like a predator showing his teeth. "Sorry, didn't mean to spook you. What are you doing up?" He looked past me, at the table. There was still a faint dusting of paper dust on the mahogany, and the shredder bin was sitting on the floor behind my legs. I couldn't sleep," I lied. My brain spun the wheel of excuses. "I had a migraine. I came down to check the warranty on the blender. It's making a weird noise." It was the stupidest lie I had ever told. The warranty on the blender? At 1 a.m.? Cameron blinked. "The blender?" "Yes," I said, my voice rising an octave. "I was looking for the receipt in the shredder bin. I thought maybe I accidentally shredded it." I kicked the bin gently with my heel. Cameron laughed. He actually laughed. "Babe, you're crazy. You know that. You're obsessing. Come here." He dropped his bag and opened his arms. Every cell in my body screamed, "Run!" Every instinct recoiled. I didn't want him to touch me. I didn't want his cheating hands on my skin, but I had to sell it. I walked into his arms. I let him hug me. I smelled him. Underneath the expensive cologne and the stale airplane air, I smelled it. Vanilla. Cheap, sweet vanilla body spray. Dana. I held my breath. I hugged him back, limp as a rag doll. "I missed you," he murmured into my hair. "I missed you too," I said. The lie tasted like ash. The next morning, after Cameron left for the office, which I now assumed meant a breakfast date with Dana, I met the girls at Rebecca's house. Rebecca was in a state. She was wearing mismatched socks and her eyes were red-rimmed. She was holding Wesley's old iPhone like it was a grenade. "I tried," she stammered as we walked in. "I tried to plug it into my laptop to download the backup. I wanted to get the messages, the deleted ones." "And?" Olivia asked, setting down her inevitable coffee. "And I think I broke it," Rebecca whispered. She held up the phone. The screen was black. A graphic of a white cable pointing to a laptop icon was frozen on the display. "It says connect to iTunes," Rebecca said. "But when I connect it, it says data corrupted. Restore factory settings." "Don't restore it," Tara yelled. "That wipes everything." "I know," Rebecca wailed. "That's why I unplugged it. But now it's stuck. I can't get it back to the home screen. I can't see the Instagram anymore. I lost the geotags." She collapsed onto her sofa, burying her face in a pillow. "I ruined it. I'm stupid. I'm so stupid. Wesley is the tech genius. He handles the Wi-Fi. He handles the updates. I can't even work a stupid phone." I sat down next to her and rubbed her back. I felt a wave of sympathy mixed with frustration. This was the weaponization of incompetence. These men made us feel like we couldn't survive without them, so we wouldn't look too closely at how they were living. "You're not stupid," I told her firmly. You're stressed, and he probably encrypted it because he has things to hide." "But the evidence is gone," Rebecca sobbed. "I lost the proof." "We didn't lose it," Olivia said, picking up the phone and examining it. "We just lost this access point. We find another way, the hard way." "What other way?" Rebecca asked. "The bank," I said. "You're his wife. You're on the joint account." "He handles the finances," Rebecca said. "I have a debit card for groceries, but he manages the investments and the savings." "Do you know his mother's maiden name?" I asked. "Yes." "Do you know the name of his first pet?" "Yes." "Then you can reset the password," I said. "We're going to call the bank. We're going to pretend to be you, well, you are you, and we're going to say you got locked out, and we are going to download 5 years of statements." Rebecca looked terrified. "He'll get an alert." "Not if we change the notification email to yours," I said. "We have a window. He's at work. We do it now." It took us an hour. It was excruciating. The automated system hung up on us twice. Rebecca had to shout "representative" into the phone until her voice cracked. When she finally got a human, she had to recite her social security number 3 times because she was shaking so hard she stuttered. But finally, the PDF opened. We scrolled past the groceries, past the mortgage, and there it was. Venmo, $300 to Marn P. Note, tech support. Venmo, $500 to Marn P. Note, server maintenance. "Server maintenance," Tara scoffed. "Is that what they're calling it now?" Rebecca stared at the screen. He sent her $3,000 in 2 months. I'm driving a Honda with a dent in the bumper, and he's sending her $3,000 for server maintenance. She wasn't crying anymore. Her jaw tightened. "Print it," she said. "Print it all." A courier arrived at Tara's house while we were regrouping there for lunch. He handed a thick manila envelope to Olivia. She didn't open it immediately. She placed it on the table. It sat there, heavy and ominous, like a brick of lead. "This is it," Olivia said. "Rick sent the full workup. Not just Bradley, he tailed all of them for the last 48 hours. "All of them?" I asked. "I paid extra," Olivia said with a shrug. "Bulk discount." She tore open the seal. She slid the photos out. They fanned across the table. It was one thing to know. It was another thing to see. There was Bradley, my neighbor, sitting at a cafe table, holding hands with a girl who looked young enough to be his daughter. There was Gavin, Tara's husband, loading a suitcase into the trunk of a car that wasn't his, kissing a redhead, Penny, before getting into the passenger seat. There was Wesley, buying ice cream cones with a brunette in a hoodie. They were laughing. He had ice cream on his nose. She wiped it off. It was sickeningly domestic. And there was Cameron, my Cameron. The photo was grainy, taken from a distance. He was walking out of a jewelry store, not Tiffany's this time, a boutique place in West Hollywood. He was holding a small black bag. He wasn't smiling. He looked serious, intent. "What is he buying?" I whispered. "Does it matter?" Tara asked. Her voice was flat. She was staring at the photo of Gavin. "Look at him. He told me he threw his back out. He's been complaining about his lumbar support for weeks, but look at him lifting that suitcase." "He's fine," Olivia said. "He's not hurt. He's just carrying the weight of his lies." I picked up another photo. It was the 4 men together. They were at a bar, a sports bar. They were clinking beer glasses. They looked triumphant. The timestamp was Tuesday night, the night Cameron supposedly had late investor meetings, the night I sat in the coffee shop and started the spreadsheet. They weren't working. They weren't suffering. They were celebrating. "They're mocking us," Rebecca said softly. "They're spending our money, sleeping with other women, and then having beers together to laugh about how easy it is." The pain in my chest hardened. It calcified into something sharp and dangerous. "They think we're stupid," I said. "They think we're accessories, furniture, things to be managed." I looked at the photo of Cameron again. I looked at his smug, relaxed face. "I don't want to just leave him," I said. Leaving is too easy. If I leave, he spins the story. He tells everyone we grew apart. He plays the victim. Agreed, Olivia said. I want to burn his reputation to the ground. I want him to hurt, Tara said. I want him to feel exactly as small and powerless as I feel right now. We need a venue, Tara said. She was pacing the kitchen again. We can't do this individually. If I confront Gavin alone, he'll lie. He'll say I'm crazy. He'll gaslight me until I apologize for catching him. Same with Wesley, Rebecca said. He'll talk circles around me. He'll use big words and technical jargon and make me feel like I misunderstood the universe. Strength in numbers, Olivia said. We confront them together. A intervention? I asked. No, Tara said. A wicked glint appeared in her eye. A trap. She stopped pacing. My cousin Forrest, she said. He manages the Castaway. You know, the fancy place on the hill in Burbank? The one with the view? I asked. Cameron took me there for our 5th anniversary. That's the one, Tara said. Forrest owes me a massive favor. I bailed him out of a DUI in college and never told his mom. He'll do whatever I ask. What are you thinking? Olivia asked, leaning forward. A dinner party, Tara said. Just the 8 of us. We tell the husbands it's a celebration, a friendship dinner. They'll love that. It strokes their ego. It reinforces the happy couple illusion. And then, Rebecca asked, eyes wide. We get them in a private room, Tara said. Forrest locks the door from the outside. No waiters, no escape. And instead of a toast, I said, my project manager brain catching the spark, we present the findings. A presentation, Olivia mused. I like it, systematic, irrefutable. I can make the slide deck, I said. I'm really good at PowerPoint. I can animate the timeline. I can overlay the bank statements with the text messages. I can handle the financials, Rebecca said, sitting up straighter. I can calculate the exact cost of infidelity, the total dollar amount they stole from the marital assets. And I, Olivia said, a shark-like smile spreading across her face, will handle the legal framework. I will lay out the consequences. Option A, uncontested divorce with favorable terms for us. Option B, we release the file to their employers, their families, and the public. Blackmail, Tara said delightedly. Leverage, Olivia corrected. It's not blackmail if we're just offering them a settlement agreement. I looked at the photos on the table, the smiling, lying faces of the men we had vowed to love. We have to be perfect, I said. We can't be emotional. If we scream, we lose. If we cry, we lose. We have to be cold. We have to treat this like a business merger where we are acquiring their dignity. Can we do it? Rebecca asked. Can we really sit there and eat dinner with them knowing what we know? We're not eating dinner, I said. We're serving justice. When? Tara asked. I looked at the calendar on the wall. Next Saturday, I said. October 26th. That gives us 10 days to build the case. 10 days to finalize the presentation. 10 days to pretend we love them. 10 days, Olivia agreed. Project Reckoning is a go. Monday morning, I called in sick to work. It was the first time in 7 years I had taken a sick day when I wasn't actively vomiting. I told my boss it was a migraine. In a way, it was. My entire life was a migraine. I met Tara and her cousin Forrest at the Castaway at 10 in the morning. The restaurant was empty, smelling of lemon polish and stale beer from the night before. The view of the valley was obscured by smog, a thick gray blanket that matched my mood perfectly. Forrest was a large man, built like a refrigerator with a beard. He shook my hand and his grip was firm, reassuring. So, he said, leading us through the empty dining room, Tara says you ladies are planning a specific kind of party. A retirement party, I said. We're retiring our marriages. Forrest didn't laugh. He nodded solemnly. He opened a set of double doors. The Sky Room, he announced. It was perfect. Secluded, soundproof, A long mahogany table, a projector screen descending from the ceiling, and most importantly, heavy doors with a thumb-turn lock on the inside. "I can set up the AV," Forrest said. "HDMI connection at the head of the table. Sound system is integrated. If you play audio, it'll be surround sound." "We have audio," I said, thinking of the voice memos Olivia's PI had recorded. Cameron telling Dana he loved her laugh. Bradley promising Simone he would leave his wife after the holidays. "And the doors?" Tara asked. Forrest walked over to the doors. He turned the lock. Click. A solid, heavy sound. Heavy. "Once this is turned, nobody gets in without a key," Forrest said. "And nobody gets out unless you let them." I stood in the center of the room. I imagined Cameron sitting there. I imagined the look on his face when the lights went down. "We need the bill split," I said. "4 ways. Charged to the corporate cards they all gave us for emergencies." Forrest grinned. It was a terrifying expression. "I'll run them as event catering. Vague enough to pass an expense report, specific enough to be legally binding." "Perfect," I said. I walked to the window. I looked out at the haze over Burbank. This room was going to be a slaughterhouse. And I was the butcher. The hardest part wasn't the planning, it was the acting. I was sitting on the living room sofa Tuesday night, my laptop open to a fake budget spreadsheet, when Cameron came home. He was whistling. He threw his keys in the bowl. He looked handsome, disgustingly handsome. "Hey, babe," he said, walking over to kiss the top of my head. I flinched internally, my skin crawling where his lips touched my hair, but I forced my shoulders to stay relaxed. "Hey," I said, "how was work?" "Insane," he sighed, loosening his tie. "The investors are breathing down my neck. I feel like I'm drowning in paperwork." "Liar. You were at the Santa Monica Pier. I saw the credit card charge for the Ferris wheel tickets." He sat next to me. Too close. He put a hand on my knee. "But I was thinking," he said, his voice dropping to that smooth, manipulative register he used when he wanted something. "We haven't had a date night in a while. Real quality time. Just us and the guys." My heart hammered against my ribs. He was making it too easy, or was he testing me? "That sounds nice," I managed to say. "I was thinking this Saturday," he continued, "but I'm so swamped with the quarterly review, I don't know if I can plan it. You know how I get when I'm stressed. I don't want to disappoint you by picking the wrong place." Toxic benevolence. He was framing his laziness and infidelity as a concern for my happiness. "I'm too stressed to be a good husband, so you do the work." "Actually," I said, turning to face him. I looked him right in the eye. I channeled every ounce of project management coldness I possessed. "I already handled it." He blinked. "You did?" "Yes," I said. "Tara and I were talking. We thought it would be fun to do a big group dinner. The 4 couples. A celebration of friendship." Cameron's face lit up. It was genuine relief. He didn't have to plan anything. He didn't have to spend time alone with me. He could hide in the group dynamic. "That's amazing, babe," he said, squeezing my knee. "You're the best." "Where?" "The Castaway," I said. "Private room. Saturday night." "Fancy," he whistled. "I love it, see? This is why you're the project manager. You handle the details so I can focus on the big picture. The big picture being his mistress. I just want everyone to be together," I said. "I want everything out in the open." "Exactly," he said, completely missing the subtext. He stood up. "I'm going to grab a shower. Long day." He walked away. I listened to his footsteps on the stairs. I looked down at my knee where his hand had been. I rubbed the spot hard, trying to erase the sensation of his touch. He thought he had won. He thought he had a wife who planned his social calendar while he planned his exit strategy. I pulled up the group chat. "Target acquired," I typed. "Saturday is a go." Wednesday night. Cameron was working late. Atwater Village with Gavin, according to the tracker. I was alone in the house with a bottle of Pinot Noir in my laptop. I had built million-dollar pitch decks for software companies. I had designed roadmaps for infrastructure projects. But this was my masterpiece. Slide 1, title card. The Glendale Files. Subtitle, A Review of Operational Inefficiencies in 4 Marriages. I chose a clean, minimalist font, Helvetica Neue, white text on a black background, stark, professional, brutal. I started importing the images. Slide 4, the asset allocation. I dragged in the scan of the hotel receipt. I used the crop tool to highlight the date. I added a red arrow pointing to the guest name field. Slide 5, the discrepancy. On the left, a screenshot of Cameron's text, stuck in board meeting until late. On the right, the photo from the PI showing him walking into the hotel with Dana. Timestamps matched to the minute. I added a transition effect. Fade to black. My hands were shaking as I typed the captions. It was dissociative. I was looking at photos of my husband touching another woman, and I was worrying about the kerning of the font. Is the text centered? Is the contrast high enough? Does this photo of him buying lingerie make the narrative flow better before or after the bank statement? I worked for 4 hours. I built 4 sections. Act Y, Cameron and Dana. Act 2, Gavin and Penny. Act 3, Wesley and Marn. Act 4, Bradley and Simone. I created a summary slide at the end. Proposed resolution. Option A, mutual settlement. Option B, public disclosure. I saved the file. Final presentation, VMGPT text. I closed the laptop. The house was silent. I felt hollowed out. I had just turned the last 12 years of my life into a 20-minute presentation. I had reduced my love, my hope, my future into bullet points and JPEG files. I poured the rest of the wine into my glass. I drank it in one gulp. It didn't help. Thursday, 2 days before the dinner. I was at Staples buying supplies. I needed heavy cardstock for the printed agreements Olivia had drafted. I needed specific black binders. I needed to look professional. I stood at the checkout counter. The teenage cashier popped her gum. "That'll be $42.80, she said. I inserted my debit card, the one connected to our main joint checking account. Processing. Declined. My stomach dropped through the floor. "Try it again," I said, my voice tight. She sighed and hit a button. I inserted the chip again. Declined. Panic, hot and immediate, flooded my chest. He knows. That was the only explanation. He knew. He had found the folder. He had seen the browser history. He had drained the accounts. He was leaving me before I could trap him. "Do you have another card?" the cashier asked, bored. "1 second, I said. I pulled out my phone. My hands were trembling so hard I almost dropped it. I opened the banking app. It took forever to load. The little spinning circle mocked me. Finally, the dashboard appeared. Checking balance. $400. $400? There should be $15,000 in there. We kept a buffer. I clicked on the transaction history. Transfer to external account, $14,500. Date. Today. I couldn't breathe. The store spun around me. The smell of paper and toner was suddenly suffocating. I ran out of the store, leaving the binders on the counter. I sat in my car and dialed Cameron. It went to voicemail. "Hey, this is Cameron. Leave a message." I hung up. I dialed again. He picked up on the 3rd ring. "Hey, babe," he said. He sounded normal. "What's up? I'm in a meeting." "The money," I choked out. "The checking account, it's empty." "Oh," he said, his voice casual, breezy. "Yeah, sorry, I meant to tell you. I moved the buffer to a high-yield CD this morning. Rates are up to 5%. I didn't want it just sitting there losing value to inflation." I gripped the steering wheel. "You moved it?" "All of it." "Just the surplus," he said. "I left enough for groceries." "Why? Were you trying to buy something big?" The trap. The toxic benevolence trap. If I complained, I was being financially irresponsible. "Why do you need more than $400 for a Thursday, Casey? Are you spending money I don't know about? No, I lied. I was buying coffee and it got declined. Weird, he said. There should be 400 in there. Maybe the fraud protection kicked in because of the transfer. I'll call them. Don't worry, babe. I'm handling our future. You just relax. I'm handling our future. He had locked the liquid assets. He had moved the money to an account I couldn't access immediately. He didn't know about the investigation. He was just securing his exit fund. He was hoarding resources for his new life with Dana. Okay, I said. Thanks for handling it. Love you, he said. Bye. I stared at the dashboard. I had $400 to my name. I didn't go back into Staples. I drove to the bank. I withdrew $380 in cash. If war was coming, I needed a war chest, even if it was small. Friday night. The husbands were at a basketball game. Actually, a bar in downtown LA. We met at Olivia's house. Her dining room was set up like a war room. Okay, Olivia said. She was wearing her court suit. Run through it again. Rebecca, stop shaking. Rebecca was vibrating. She was holding her index cards so tight they were bending. I can't, Rebecca squeaked. I'm going to throw up. I'm going to look at Wesley and I'm going to vomit. If you vomit, I said, but you do not stop reading the slides. Tough love, Tara muttered. Listen to me, Olivia said, walking over to Rebecca. She put her hands on Rebecca's shoulders. You are not his wife tomorrow night. You are the chief financial officer of your Life, Inc. And he has been embezzling from the company. Rebecca took a deep breath. CFO, okay, CFO. Tara, Olivia barked. You're too angry. You're seething. If you scream at Gavin, he wins. He'll call you crazy. He'll say you're hysterical. You need to be ice. I am ice, Tara snapped. You're fire, Olivia corrected. Cool it down. Read the facts. On Wednesday, October 2nd, you were at this address. Not you bastard, how could you? Got it, Tara gritted out. Casey, Olivia turned to me. You're the opener. You set the tone. If you falter, the whole thing collapses. I won't falter, I said. Good, Olivia said, because the moment that door locks, the dynamic shifts. They will try to overpower us. They will try to speak over us. They will try to stand up and intimidate us physically. Forrest will be there, I reminded her. Forrest is the bouncer, Olivia said, but we are the judge and jury. We need to hold the room. She picked up the stack of legal documents. I have the separation agreements drafted, she said. They are fair, generous even. 50-50 split of assets acquired during marriage. No alimony, but we keep the houses. If they sign, it's over quietly. If they don't, she gestured to the projector. If they don't, we send the PDF to their HR departments on Monday morning. Is that legal? Rebecca asked. It's the truth, Olivia said. Truth is an absolute defense against libel, and reporting ethics violations to a corporate board is a protected activity. She smiled. It was terrifying. We have them, she said. Now, let's practice Act 1. I stood up. I clicked the remote. Good evening, gentlemen, I said to the empty chairs. Welcome to your performance review. Saturday, 6 p.m. The house was quiet. Cameron was already gone. He had gone early to help set up, which meant he was probably having a pre-game drink with the guys to get their stories straight. I stood in front of the full-length mirror in our bedroom. I was wearing the black dress, the one with the sharp neckline, the one Cameron always said made me look intimidating. Good. I applied my lipstick, a deep blood red, not pink, not soft. I looked at my reflection. I looked at the woman staring back at me. She looked tired. There were dark circles under her eyes that concealer couldn't quite hide. But she also looked dangerous. She looked like someone who had nothing left to lose. I looked down at my hand, my left hand. The diamond solitaire sparkled under the vanity lights. Cameron had put it on my finger 12 years ago. He had promised to love, honor, and cherish. He had broken every single vow. I slowly slid the ring off my finger. It left a pale indentation on my skin, a ghost of a marriage. I placed the ring on the velvet tray on the dresser, right next to the cufflinks he had forgotten to pack. I wasn't wearing it tonight. I wasn't going as his wife. I picked up my laptop bag. It felt heavy. It contained the hard drive, the printed contracts, and the destruction of 4 lives. My phone buzzed. Tara, Forrest says the room is ready. AV is live. Olivia, ETA 10 minutes. Rebecca, I didn't vomit. I'm ready. I took a deep breath. I inhaled the scent of the house one last time. The lavender candles, the expensive detergent, the smell of the lie I had been living in. Showtime, I whispered to the empty room. I turned off the lights and walked out the door. I didn't look back. The air in the private dining room was thin, charged with enough static electricity to power the entire San Fernando Valley. We sat on one side of the long mahogany table, like a tribunal. Me, Tara, Rebecca, Olivia. Forrest stood by the door, arms crossed, looking like a statue carved out of bouncer granite. "They're walking up the path," Tara whispered, checking her phone. "Gavin just texted, 'Thirsty. Hope they have good scotch.'" "Put the phone away," Olivia ordered. "No distractions." I smoothed the front of my black dress. My palms were sweating, threatening to ruin the silk. I wiped them on the napkin in my lap. "Breathe, Casey. You are a machine. You are a processor of data. You do not feel." The double doors swung open. A wave of noise hit us first. Laughter. The deep, booming baritone of men who own the world and know it. And I told him, "If the margin isn't 20%, I'm not getting out of bed," Bradley roared, slapping Cameron on the back. They spilled into the room, a phalanx of expensive suits and confident smiles. Cameron saw me first, his face lit up with that practiced, dazzling warmth. "There they are," he announced, spreading his arms. "The better halves." He walked over to me, leaning in for a kiss. I didn't move away, but I didn't lean in either. I stayed perfectly still, like a deer hoping the predator loses interest. His lips brushed my cheek. He smelled of scotch and mints. "You look incredible, babe," he whispered. "Is that the dress I like?" "It is," I said. My voice sounded strange to my own ears, hollow. Gavin kissed Tara, who flinched visibly. Wesley hugged Rebecca, lifting her slightly off the ground. She looked like she was going to faint, her eyes wide and terrified, staring at me for help. "Great spot, Casey," Bradley said, nodding at the view of the city lights. "Top shelf. Did we order drinks yet? I need a Macallan, neat." They moved to the other side of the table, pulling out chairs, scraping the wood against the floor. They sat down, loosening their ties, adjusting their cuffs. They were so comfortable. They took up so much space. "Where are the menus?" Cameron asked, looking around. "And where's the waiter? We're starving." "We didn't order food," I said. The chatter died down slightly. "What?" Gavin laughed. "It's a dinner party, isn't it?" "I'm hungry enough to eat the table." "We have a presentation first," Olivia said. She remained seated, her hands clasped on top of the black leather binders we had placed at each of our settings. "A presentation?" Wesley chuckled, looking at Rebecca. "What, like a slideshow of our vacations? Becca, did you make a collage?" He said it like she was a child showing off a finger painting. "Something like that," Rebecca whispered. I looked at Forrest. I nodded once. Forrest stepped forward. He grabbed the heavy brass handles of the double doors. He pulled them shut. Then, with a deliberate, metallic clack, he turned the thumb lock. The sound echoed in the room. The laughter stopped completely. "Whoa," Bradley said, turning in his chair. "Buddy, what are you doing? Fire code says those have to stay unlocked." "Private event," Forrest grunted. "Security protocol." He stood in front of the door, crossing his arms again. He was 6'4". Bradley was 5'10". The math was simple. "Okay, Cameron said slowly, a frown creasing his forehead. He looked at me, his eyes searching mine for the joke. Casey, what's going on? Is this a murder mystery dinner? Did you hire actors? No actors, I said. Just us. I stood up. My legs felt like lead, but I forced them to hold me. I picked up the remote control for the projector. Gentlemen, I said, thank you for joining us. We know your time is valuable. We know you have many demands on your schedule. I pressed the button. The screen descended from the ceiling with a mechanical whir. The projector bulb flared to life, cutting through the dim lighting. The Glendale Files. Operational Review and Audit. Cameron stared at the screen. I watched the blood drain from his face in real time. It was fascinating. It was like watching a color photo turn black and white. Casey, he said, his voice dropping to a warning growl, turn that off. You're embarrassing yourself. I don't think I am, I said. This isn't funny, Gavin said, looking at Tara. Tara, tell your friend to stop playing games. I'm hungry. Sit down, Gavin, Tara said. Her voice was ice cold. And shut up. Gavin's mouth fell open. Tara had never spoken to him like that in 10 years of marriage. Act 1, I announced. Subject, Cameron Whitman. I clicked the remote. The photo of the driveway appeared. Massive, high definition. Cameron and Dana, the rumpled clothes, the kiss. A silence so profound fell over the room that I could hear the hum of the air conditioning vents. Tuesday, October 15th, I narrated, my voice steady, 2:45 in the afternoon. Subject claimed to be in San Francisco for investor meetings. Subject was actually in our driveway, engaging in physical intimacy with former executive assistant Dana Monroe. Cameron stood up. That's photoshopped. That's ridiculous. Casey, you're having a breakdown. We need to get you a doctor. Toxic benevolence. He was trying to pathologize me. He was trying to make me the crazy one. Sit down, Cameron, Forrest rumbled from the door. Cameron looked at Forrest, then back at me. He sat down slowly. Next slide, I said. The spreadsheet appeared. The rows of Beverly Hilton. The total sum in red, $6,435. Analysis of joint financial assets reveals 26 separate charges to the Beverly Hilton over a 12-month period, I read. Each charge coincides with a Tuesday night where subject claimed to be working late. I stay there for work, Cameron shouted. It's closer to the client office. I didn't want to drive home in traffic. And do you buy lingerie for the client? I asked. Click. The receipt from the West Hollywood boutique, the lace teddy. Size small. I am a size medium. Do you buy the client diamond pendants? I asked. Click. The taped-together receipt from the shredder. Cameron went silent. He looked at the other men. He was looking for an ally, a lifeline. But they weren't looking at him. They were staring at the screen, terrified, realizing that if I had this on Cameron, we had something on them. This is an invasion of privacy, Cameron hissed. You went through my trash? I audited the household waste, I corrected. Standard procedure for a failing organization. I looked him in the eye. You lied to me for a year. You spent our savings on her. You looked me in the face and told me you loved me while you were booking hotel rooms. Casey, please, he said, his voice cracking. He switched tactics instantly. Babe, we can talk about this. At home. Just you and me. I messed up. I know I messed up. But don't do this here. Don't humiliate me in front of the guys. The guys? I laughed. It was a sharp, jagged sound. The guys know, Cameron. They helped you. I clicked the final slide of my section. The photo of the 4 of them at the sports bar. Tuesday night, toasting. Act 2, I said. Gavin and Penny. Tara stood up. She didn't use a remote. She just pointed. Wednesday nights, she said. Atwater Village. The map appeared. The cluster of red dots on the location history. You said it was client dinners, Tara said. You said it was networking. You were networking with your 24-year-old ex-assistant in an apartment you co-signed for. Gavin looked at the screen. He turned purple. You tracked my phone, he shouted. You crazy bitch! That's illegal. So is fraud, Olivia interjected calmly. Using company funds to pay for a personal apartment lease? Your father-in-law is going to be very interested in that tax write-off. Gavin shut his mouth with an audible click. Act 3, Rebecca squeaked. She stood up. Her legs were shaking, but she held the table for support. Wesley, she said. Wesley smiled nervously. Becca, sweetie, whatever they told you, it's a misunderstanding. You know I love you. You're my girl. Stop it, Rebecca said. She didn't shout. She just said it firmly. Stop talking. She clicked the remote. The Venmo transactions appeared. Server maintenance, $500. Tech support, $300. You sent Marn $3,000, Rebecca said. Tears were running down her face, but she didn't wipe them away. You told me we couldn't afford to fix the car. You told me I spent too much on groceries, and you were buying her Supreme hoodies. Click. The Instagram photo, the hoodie, the watch. I made you smoothies, Rebecca whispered. The room was so quiet that the whisper sounded like a scream. I hated kale, but I made them for you, and you were laughing at me with her. Wesley looked down at his hands. The golden retriever mask had melted off, revealing a coward. Act 4, Olivia said. She didn't stand up. She didn't need to. She just leaned forward. Bradley. Bradley crossed his arms. I don't know what you think you have, Olivia, but my lawyers will eat you alive. Your lawyers work for the firm, Olivia said. And the firm has a very strict morality clause regarding partners sleeping with junior analysts. Click. The PI photos. Bradley and Simone. The hotel. The kiss. The hand on the thigh. Simone is 26, Olivia said. You are 52. She is your subordinate. That is a lawsuit waiting to happen. The firm will cut you loose to protect themselves from sexual harassment liability. Bradley turned pale. You wouldn't. I already drafted the email, Olivia said. It's sitting in my drafts folder, scheduled to send at 9 a.m., Monday morning, unless we come to an agreement. The 4 men sat there. The swagger was gone. The brotherhood was broken. They weren't a team anymore. They were 4 rats in a trap, realizing there was no way out. Okay, Cameron said. He wiped sweat from his forehead. Okay, you made your point. You caught us. Bravo. Now unlock the door and let's go home and figure this out. There is no figuring it out, I said. Olivia slid the black binders across the table, one for each of them. Thud, 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 thud. Inside, Olivia said, you will find a separation agreement. It outlines a 50-50 split of all marital assets. You keep your retirement accounts. We keep the houses. No alimony. Irreconcilable differences. You want the house? Gavin sputtered. My dad bought that house. Your dad bought it for WSB, Tara corrected. And since you used our joint checking account to pay Penny's rent, I'm taking the equity as reimbursement. This is extortion, Bradley said. I'm not signing this. Option B, Olivia said pleasantly. We don't sign. We walk out of here. On Monday morning, I send the email to your partners. Casey sends the file to Morrison Consulting. Tara sends the map to your father-in-law, and Rebecca posts the photos on Facebook. You'll destroy us, Wesley whispered. I'll lose my job. I'll lose my unvested stock options. Yes, Rebecca said. You will. But I'm the breadwinner, Wesley pleaded. If I lose my job, you get nothing. I have a job, Rebecca said. I'm a financial analyst. I'll be fine. You, however, will be unemployable. Think about your reputation, Olivia said. Think about the industry. Do you want to be the men who got divorced quietly? Or do you want to be the men who got fired for cause and publicly shamed? Cameron looked at me. His eyes were wet. Casey, he said softly. Please. I love you. We can fix this. I'll end it with Dana. I promise. I'll never see her again. Just don't make me sign this. Don't take the house. It's our home. For a second, I felt a twinge, a ghost of the love I used to have. Then I remembered the bank account. You emptied the checking account on Thursday, I said. Cameron froze. You moved $14,000 to a CD so I couldn't access it, I said. You weren't trying to fix us, Cameron. You were trying to starve me out. You were preparing for war. I leaned across the table. I'm just finishing it. Cameron looked at me. He saw the wall I had built. He saw that his charm, his smile, his manipulation, none of it worked anymore. He looked down at the binder. Do you have a pen? He asked. The sound of 4 pens scratching against paper was the most beautiful music I had ever heard. They signed, they initialed, they dated. Olivia checked each document as they finished. She was thorough. Valid, she said, stacking Cameron's agreement in her portfolio. Valid, she said to Gavin. Valid, to Wesley. Valid, to Bradley. She closed her portfolio. She looked at Forrest. Door, she said. Forrest unlocked the door. Click. Get out, Tara said. The men stood up. They looked smaller. Their suits looked ill-fitting. They didn't look at each other. They shuffled toward the door, eyes on the floor. Cameron paused at the threshold. He looked back at me one last time. I did love you, you know, he said. I know, I said, but you loved yourself more. He walked out. The door closed. For a long moment, nobody moved. We just sat there, listening to the silence, waiting for the adrenaline to crash. Then Rebecca let out a sound. It was half sob, half giggle. We did it, she whispered. We actually did it. We destroyed them, Tara said, pouring herself a glass of water from the pitcher. We absolutely nuked them. We protected ourselves, Olivia corrected. But she was smiling, a real smile. Forrest walked over to the sideboard. He pulled out a bottle of Dom Perignon. Compliments of the house, he said. And don't worry about the bill. I already ran their cards for the room rental, maximum tip included. He popped the cork. Pop. We raised our glasses. To the Glendale Files, I said. To the Ex-Wives Club, Tara added. To freedom, Rebecca said. We clinked glasses. The champagne was cold and tasted like victory. I looked out the window at the city lights. I was 37. I was single. I had $400 in my checking account until the settlement check cleared. I had never felt richer. Update, 3 months later. The paint in the living room is finally dry. I chose a deep, moody emerald green. Cameron hated dark colors. He said they made the room feel small. I think it makes the room feel cozy, safe, mine. The divorce was finalized on December 20th, a Christmas gift to myself. Cameron tried to contest the settlement once, about 2 weeks after the dinner. He hired a lawyer who sent Olivia a threatening letter. Olivia replied with a single attachment, the photo of him entering the Beverly Hilton. We never heard from his lawyer again. He is living in a serviced apartment in Burbank now. I heard from a mutual friend that Dana broke up with him. Apparently, the thrill of the affair wore off once he was just a divorced guy with alimony payments and a bruised ego. Gavin lost his job. Tara wasn't kidding about her father-in-law. The old man fired Gavin the day after the paperwork was signed. Tara kept the house and bought a new Porsche. She waves at me when she drives by. Bradley managed to keep his job, but he was transferred to the Omaha office. Olivia says it is a constructive dismissal. He is miserable. Olivia is dating a 28-year-old fitness instructor named Kai. She says it is market research. And Rebecca surprised us all. She used her half of the settlement to backpack through Europe. She sends us selfies from Italy and Greece. In the latest one, she is drinking wine with a very handsome Italian man. She looks 10 years younger. We still meet at the Castaway once a month. We have the same table in the Sky Room. Forrest always gives us the best wine. We call ourselves the auditors now. Last week, a woman I didn't know approached our table. She was wearing tennis whites and looked like she had been crying. She lived on Oakmont Drive. She had heard rumors. "My husband," she whispered, twisting her wedding ring. "He keeps having late meetings on Fridays." I looked at Tara. Tara looked at Olivia. Olivia opened her laptop. "Pull up a chair," I told the woman. "Let's look at the data." If this story resonated with you, leave a like and consider subscribing. You can also drop any comment below, even just one word. Maybe tell me where you're watching from, or what time it is right now. Sometimes one word is enough to say you were here.